What's up guys, Haddish here with some Destiny 2 news. We've got a new tease about vehicles coming in Destiny 2, as well as some information about mechanics and record tracking, which is pretty interesting. I've rounded up all the details we currently know about the release for Destiny 2, including the midnight release, which is supposed to be rolling, which I'll talk about in a few moments. There's also a PlayStation event in October where it's possible we'll see the reveal for Destiny 2's DLC, and even more Destiny 2 merchandise which has been leaked coming out pretty soon. So first up, we learned a bunch of stuff about Destiny 2 from Edge magazine recently, including that there will be up to 80 missions, side quests and PvE activities. We know that there will be exotics dropping earlier on in the story part of the game. We heard more about timed nightfalls, but there are some other things in the main article, which is due to drop this Thursday on the 17th, I believe it is. They said one day you'll have to ask us about the magician, and that's all they said on the subject. So who or what the magician is, we just don't know. It could potentially be a character, maybe a new NPC, could even be a Xur type character or someone in the story of the game. It could also be a weapon though, or an exotic. We simply don't know at this point. I'd love to hear your speculation in the comments, guys. They say that the sense of scale is far bigger in Destiny 2, with vast open areas with warring factions doing battle beneath majestic Bungie skyboxes, and they say these are reoccurring themes. It's impossible not to think of the series from which the studio made its name, and obviously this is a reference to Halo and some of the battle scenes that you see in that game. But what they say next is very interesting. They say especially when you're put at the controls of a vehicle or three. Now this is very teasy. We know that there are going to be tanks in Destiny 2, and we've seen a couple of different ones in the trailers. We've also seen some strange drone-like vehicles at the farm, but I would guess these aren't actually Guardian vehicles. In the beta, when you looked at your kind of Sparrow slot, it did read vehicles, but that was also the case in Destiny 1. If I had to guess, I would say that the tanks are probably things we'll find in certain locations, as opposed to being able to summon them, you know, like we do with Sparrows and everything like that. But it is interesting that they say a vehicle or three. Maybe this is a hint at a brand new vehicle type. Either way, it's pretty exciting stuff. They also gave us some info about milestone tracking in Destiny 2. So we know that there will be a milestone tab, but this is also visible in game. So they said a squeeze of the left trigger brings up your milestone menu, which makes it clear what the next step in the story is, as well as highlighting other activities that can be completed for rewards. So much like bounty tracking in Destiny 1, the milestone tab will have a kind of preview or snapshot panel which comes up over the game to show you what you can go ahead and complete. And this is going to be really useful. It means that if your map is just full of stuff and it gets a bit confusing, you'll be able to see the order that you're supposed to complete stuff in, or you can see other stuff that you can go ahead and do, and what kind of rewards, you know, loosely at least, you're likely to get for completing them. They did speak about some kind of spoilery story stuff, which I won't detail too specifically, but they mentioned some cool mechanics which feature into the story, such as stumbling across a mountain edge where you've lost your light and being able to vault over ledges even though you can't actually jump. So that's pretty interesting. Not only does mantling add a new layer to the movement mode in the game, but it's also something which is built into parts of the story, so pretty cool stuff. Moving on, I wanted to briefly talk about the midnight release for Destiny 2. We're still kind of at a stage where we don't know for certain if this is actually going to be a thing, whether it's a rolling midnight release. Bungie, Mark Noseworthy in fact, did say a rolling midnight release structure is what they were going to do for Destiny 2, and there are other things kind of pointing out that this may be the case. So with a lot of games at the moment, the release times are based on Eastern time, which for Destiny 2 would be 12 AM Eastern time, but generally that means the release time for US overall, so it would likely actually mean 11 PM Central time on the 5th, which is 10 PM Mountain time and 9 PM Pacific time on the 5th. And this correlates with a couple of other things. Firstly, on the PlayStation Store, it still says the countdown is until midnight right here in the UK, which of course would be earlier in the afternoon on the 5th for the US. Interestingly, the official strategy guide has a release time of 9 PM on the 5th Pacific, which adds some more weight to this likelihood. And also there is a Microsoft store in Chicago which is having a midnight release between 9 PM and 12 PM, suggesting that the release would have happened by midnight Central time. Something I didn't really think about, which you guys pointed out, is the fact that the Pop-Tarts XP bonus is US only, and this is likely in place so that US players don't feel kind of as shafted by this, because I totally get how that is kind of frustrating that people, you know, can be playing the game before you. Hopefully it will mean a smooth launch for the game though. It's got to be better that we have the rolling launch than have the game go live and the servers just completely die, which of course is what happened with Rise of Iron. So either way, I wanted to point out these things and maybe put some of you at ease a little bit, since many of the time zones will technically get the game a bit before midnight, so that's something to think about. Another thing which is interesting to point out is that Vanman87 on Reddit posted a list of soon to be released or revealed Destiny 2 merchandise, which was sent to him from a friend who works at GameStop. So firstly, the Engram stress balls are returning by the looks of things. Also, there's a listing for Destiny 2 water bottle, a pack of 2 ornaments, which I'm not sure exactly what that will be. They've got some of the kind of hunter figures, I believe they're McFarlane ones, the replica Galahorn. They also have a 10-inch and a smaller action figure Lord Saladin, which is pretty cool, and some of those Mega Constructs Destiny 2 kind of Cabal themed builds, which is pretty awesome. And PZ Destiny Guard Wild 550 PC, which I'm not entirely sure what that stuff is, but it looks like a whole bunch of new and interesting merchandise is going to start circulating pretty soon. Of course, we've seen a bunch of strange stuff and promos and everything already. I also found a new Destiny 2 poster collection, which is to be released with the game. We don't have any images yet, but for you collectors, I will link the information in the description below. Finally, something to point out is that Sony have confirmed they will be at the PlayStation event in Paris Games Week, which starts on the 30th of October this year. I don't think Sony have been to the event for a couple of years now, but they have previously held off from some of their reveals and released them at Paris Games Week as opposed to Gamescom, and they confirmed that they will be doing that with some stuff this year as well. We don't have any confirmation of what will be revealed, but considering Destiny 2 is brand new and is also a flagship title for Sony, it's looking increasingly possible that a DLC reveal for Destiny 2 could actually happen at this event, especially if that first expansion is set to release in December, as the leak suggested. So it's definitely worth noting, 30th of October is when the event starts. We may be jumping ahead a little bit here, but I thought it would be interesting to point out to you guys anyway. For now, I think we just about summed up this video, guys, so I hope you have enjoyed it. As always, let me know in the comments any thoughts you have on any of this stuff. If you have enjoyed it, a like is very much appreciated, and if you want to save 10% on those funky control freaks, make sure that you follow the link in the description below. For now though, I appreciate you guys watching as always, and I will catch you very soon.